The FBI is responding. They are treating this as a double homicide. Both of these men were shot to death. Last night in Brooklyn, Ohio, 911 dispatchers took a call from a woman at a Cracker Barrel restaurant. By the time police arrived, the woman had been shot dead, as had one of her 10-year-old daughters. Yesterday, sheriff's deputies were met with gunfire. One of the deputies was killed, as was a civilian on the scene. Last night in Greenland, New Hampshire, 5 police officers were shot. A 42-year-old man who had strapped on 3 guns, extra ammunition, and a bulletproof vest. He shot and killed his ex-wife and 7 other people.
On July 20th, 2012, during a midnight screening of The Dark Knight Rises, a mass shooting occurred at a Century movie theater in Aurora, Colorado. A gunman set off tear gas grenades and shot into the audience with multiple firearms, killing 12 people and injuring 58 others. The suspect is James Egan Holmes, who was arrested outside the theater minutes later. An 870 Express tactile shotgun, a military-style AR-15 caliber Glock 22 handgun, and another Glock 22 handgun in his car. For a man who's mentally unstable enough to create this sort of catastrophe, he sure did have a decent amount of guns. Gun laws in the United States regulate the sale, possession, and use of firearms and ammunition. State laws vary and are independent of existing federal firearms laws. In Colorado, in order to own a gun, all you have to do is meet certain requirements to qualify for a concealed weapon permit. These requirements are: you must be at the age of 21 or older, be a legal resident of Colorado, have no alcohol or drug abuse problems, have no restraining order upon you when filing the application, and be able to hold a handgun. Nowhere in the qualifications does it say that one must have all of their police records searched through, that their family's history be looked over, or most importantly, check their mental stability by making sure the applicant does not suffer from bipolar disorder or any other mental health issues. The United States has the highest reported crime rates in the world, and it has become evident that the laws that are now in place are not successfully fulfilling their purpose. The massacre has made the topic of gun control a strong deciding factor to which politicians citizens will vote for this election. New voters should fully research and understand the stances of both men before they hand in their ballots this fall. Contrary to popular belief, allowing guns to be more easily accessible, like they are in Canada, will not decrease the crime rate in the U.S. But the laws in Canada are even more lenient than ours are in the U.S. These statistics are the main reason people believe that less gun control laws equal less violence within a nation, because that's how it works in our neighboring country. However, in the U.S. that is obviously not the case. Changes need to be made, which leads us to this year's presidential election. President Barack Obama will be running for re-election, representing the Democratic Party, while Mitt Romney, a previous governor of Massachusetts, will be representing the Republican Party. Both men hold very different stances on the topic of gun control. Obama wants to strengthen the laws we already have by adding new ones to increase the depth of background checks when applying for a gun license and making it illegal to purchase guns and ammunition online. Romney believes that a change is not necessary to decrease the crime rate in the U.S., and he holds true to his stance, even after the Aurora, Colorado massacre 2 weeks ago. This leaves the question, is a change in gun control laws really necessary? Only 60% of gun sales in the U.S. require a background check. Weapons purchased at gun shows or through private sales don't require a background check. Police say James Holmes used an AR-15 rifle, a 12-gauge shotgun, and 2 .40 caliber handguns during his shooting. They also believe that these guns were purchased legally by Holmes at stores in Denver in the past 2 months, and more than 6,000 rounds of ammunition were also purchased online. Holmes was lucky enough to pass a background check, even though he had been seeing a psychiatrist for years. While Holmes was still attending the University of Colorado, Dr. Lynn Fenton, his psychiatrist, warned colleagues at the university's safety committee that her patient might be a threat to others. She warned the university 6 weeks before he allegedly killed 12 people and wounded 58 at the theater. Background checks do not search deep enough to check a person's medical records or check their mental state. If this man's psychiatrist thought that he might be dangerous enough to warn staff at the University of Colorado who assessed possible on-campus threats, then he should not be able to own 4 guns, let alone 1. The day after the massacre, President Obama held a press conference to mourn the victims and discuss his view on gun control.
AK-47s belong in the hands of soldiers, not in the hands of criminals. They belong on the battlefield of war, not on the streets of our cities. That we should do everything possible to prevent criminals and fugitives from purchasing weapons. that we should check someone's criminal record before they can check out a gun seller, that a mentally unbalanced individual should not be able to get his hands on a gun so easily. These steps shouldn't be controversial, they should be common sense.
Increasing the depth of background checks is not going to demolish the Second Amendment that gives Americans the right to bear arms. However, the increase of laws will make it safer to be an American if those who are purchasing guns are only doing so for protection and sport, not to kill mass amounts of people.
Gun violence has gotten so bad in the city of St. Louis, Missouri, that a number of local groups got together last week to call for a gun violence summit. And it was there in the city of St. Louis today where the National Rifle Association officially kicked off its annual convention. The main featured speaker was presumptive Republican presidential nominee Mitt Romney.
My view is that we have the Second Amendment right to bear arms. And in this country, my view is also that we should not add new legislation.
Romney's only position on gun control is that there is no need for change. With the amount of massacres and mass shootings in the U.S., such as Columbine, the Virginia Tech massacre, and now the 2012 Aurora shooting, it seems pretty evident that some sort of change is necessary. With today's technology and access to guns and ammunition online, something has to be done to make sure that those acquiring guns have the mental stability and responsibility to do so. The president that we elect this fall will determine whether or not gun control laws will become stricter and if there will be a decrease in violence in the U.S.